What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Coffee and Grit. And I've had this one on my calendar for at least the last couple of months. Super excited. And this has been a journey. I got a chance to meet Sparkle Lindsay on LinkedIn, of all places, back in November of 2020, because, we were just talking about the 2020 times. This is how you went out and you found business or you found connections. I was building a lot of relationships on LinkedIn specifically because all the places that I would normally go to build the relationships were shut down.
Right.
And so I was doing things that I don't really even do now. I would have never have shot Sparkle a message saying, "Hey, your name's Sparkle Lindsay. That's really freaking cool. I see you're in retail. You've been in retail and you started coaching. It sounds like we have some really similar experiences. I'd love to have a conversation." And Sparkle responded back. We had a conversation and I had no idea, just that one conversation. That's the thing, is we have no idea how one simple message or one simple conversation with somebody, one person comes into your life, and how that impacts the flow of everything, right? For me, for you, for the world.
Yes.
And you look at that level of impact and how cool that is. I just shot this message because, again, I thought she had a cool name and we had some similar experiences. But then that very first conversation, I was like, oh shit, you're coming on Coffee and Grit. Because wow, I didn't know the level of the power, the level of the story in, as we just did take one of not hitting the record, and you're telling me some things I didn't even know that we're going to jump into that is, it really it affects that story. And just, again, those God moments of like, why did I reach out to you in November of 2020? Well, how did I come across Sparkle's name and be like, I'm going to shoot her a message? And I know outside of the practice that I was in of just meeting people on LinkedIn from across the world, but like out of all the millions of people, I picked your name and sent you a message. And it's really cool. We've now, it's been 5 years, and watching Sparkle grow into her purpose. It's like that butterfly. It's like the phoenix rising, right? And watching it. And I saw it from the first moment we had the conversation. And like, I'm sitting here like, yeah, Sparkle, like, like, let's go. Like, it's been so cool how everything has developed. And now, she came, this was now 5 years ago, 4 years ago, up to Brighton, 2021. Still during COVID, we threw together a live event, put together an event here in Brighton. And then last year, as I was going to see my sister get married in Vegas, I stopped in Denver and got to hang out. And so through these 5 years, we've grown so close, and, we've been through this journey, but we've only actually seen each other in person three times in that period of time. And so that's really cool what you can see what can happen through virtual and with technology these days. But there's nothing better than having the real life Sparkle Lindsay right here in the studio. And so this has been on Circle on the calendar. So Sparkle, welcome in.
Absolutely. I will say this, Jason. You just said it, divine timing.
Yeah.
Because, I think I was telling you from before that in September of 2020, because, everybody was talking about COVID's not real, and, it's a conspiracy and all of these things. And, people didn't know what to think. Right. And before that, see, we also, as a coach, I was battling and dealing with people who were getting hit with fentanyl. So before I met you, July of 2020, I lost 2 recoveries who dropped dead to fentanyl, and they didn't know what it was. Okay, so that was going on. Okay, I also was, I want to say, about almost a year and a half in July. So of my own sobriety, which, now I'm a woman in long-term recovery for 6 years, motivational keynote speaker, author, and the owner of Sparkle LLC, The Light at the End of the Tunnel. So it's crazy to say what I just said to you.
Yeah.
Because at that time, I didn't even know if recovery coaching was, I guess I could say, if it was even going to be anything.
Yeah.
Because I was doing it for free.
Yeah.
Like, there was no type of funding for recovery coaching, right? And then we did all these really cool things. I was with Serenity Recovery Connection for a little bit, and I learned my craft with a lot of great mentors. So September hit, my father got really sick, and he got sick with COVID pneumonia. And my brothers, all of us, we were very scared because they sent him home. Okay? They sent him home and said he just has stomach flu. He'll be okay. And he went back home. My brother was on his way to practice. And something told my brother to come back. And my brother came back, and my dad, he was passed out in the bathroom. They had to recall the ambulance. They had to re-pick him up to find out he had COVID pneumonia. So he actually was sent home with nothing. They didn't even run anything on him or anything. And we just thought he had a bug. But then they ran him. My brother went in there, and they were upset because they didn't want anybody to go back there. And so my brother was like, no, you guys sent him home, and he's really sick, you know? So from that, we ended up being able to really, he ended up dealing with his, we ended up finding out he had COVID pneumonia. So thank God my brother came back, or my dad, he was passed out.
Oh my God.
So there was a lot that went on in September, and then he finally came to, and we were finally able to start talking to him. And in the midst of that, he tells me, hey, with your sobriety and with everything else, Sparks, the time is now. He said, you don't have time to go back out. You don't have time to use. You don't have time anymore. He goes, your time is now. And so lo and behold, I started my business 2020, October 2020 of 20th, right? October 20th of 2020. And I thought I was pretty crazy doing it. I know my therapist talked a lot about it. And then from there, I also ran into you. And from there, I started realizing divine timing. And I kept saying, maybe my dad was just saying that because, you know, he loves me and he wants me to get better. But then as time started going, the journey started really taking off. And I started saying, I think I could probably do this. I started doing the business, and I had a lot of transitionings happening and everything else. And I just remember really us being in this space where you decided to be my coach. I asked you if you'd be my entrepreneur coach, and we go from there. And we had that one conversation. I jumped on the podcast. We talked for hours. We were moving and grooving. It felt like I knew you. And I said, maybe I need him to be my coach. So I remember calling you back and saying, well, how much do you charge to be my coach? And you said, I'll make it affordable for you. And I said, okay. So I put down my little money I had, and I made my first investment in myself. And I remember making a big post that said, I made the first investment in myself. And hopefully it's one of the best decisions I can ever make. And here we are, 5 years later, right here with everything I can think of. And I think that right there speaks volumes to a friendship we've had when we've only met each other in person 3 times. So were you supposed to get into my inbox and ask me to have a conversation? Oh, heck yeah.
Yep.
Divine timing is everything.
Divine
And so
timing.
everybody that has been around me in my life during this journey has had pivotal, moments in my life, but in your own lives. Because everybody that's been with me, all of you guys, the ones that are the closest, my legs to the table, have all been evolving as well. So there are certain people who needed to be with me during this journey. And there's certain people who are still with me during this journey because it's just the beginning. And I think for me, it was more so like getting my bearings, even just being sober. I mean, Jason, you started with me when I was about 1.5 years sober.
Yeah.
I'm 6 years sober now. You've been with me through every nick and cranny of sobriety and every nick and cranny of entrepreneurship. So you've seen me fall and my knee be bleeding and you put some dirt on it, get back up, keep moving. You've seen me have heartbreaking moments. You've seen me have epiphanies. You've seen me have all of these things. And here we are, right here, still at the beginning, but just getting started. You know, a little bit further in the beginning, creating the foundation and the legs to the business so that it can prevail forever, you know? And I remember telling you, the business can only go as fast or as slow as I want it to go. Because if I'm not sober,
Yep.
it's not going to happen anyway.
Yep.
Right? So I had to be very intentional with taking care of myself through this whole entire journey in order for me to even have an opportunity like I do right now. Everything needed to work based on how I was taking care of myself. If I didn't do that, this would not have been. And I was ready. I was ready to receive it. And that's why the time is now and the time was then. And it will continue to happen as long as I take care of myself, you know?
It's like on the other side for me, and I remember that post when you were like, I made the biggest investment in myself, and that's the kind of thing that I take seriously. And it's like, let's go,
Yeah.
let's do this. And it's funny because as the coach, it's unemotional from the standpoint of I can see, like that's kind of my superpower of like I can see where you're supposed to be, right? I can see your like you that first conversation. I'm like, oh, boom. Sparkle's going to be a household name. Like everybody's going to know who Sparkle is, right? And so going through that process, being so excited and then sitting through and then watching it come to fruition is so incredibly powerful.
And the crazy part is I remember, like, I go back to a lot of our trainings, like a lot of the entrepreneurship work we were doing.
Yeah.
And you're with me and you're like, you could see it, but you had to be patient enough for me to be ready to receive it. And I think that's a great coach. Because you could have been like, just move out of the way. Let me show you. But instead, you were like, she's got to go through her stuff. That's going to be rough when she goes left, but she's going left. She's going left.
Well, because this is the thing is, as a coach, I've been in sales my whole career. And if I'm sitting there telling you, you got to do this, like you're going to push against me, you know, whether you want to or not, you're going to be like, no, what does he, you know,
what does he think he's doing?
No, I got to help you discover that this is this is what you're supposed to be. There were so many times where I was like frustrated in the sense of like, God, she thinks she needs all these other organizations and like they see it. Yes. They know how much they need her and how much they want her to be a part of headlining their program. Yes. And you went through this period of months where you were like trying to find Medicare and like all these like grants and like tie yourself to somebody else. And I'm like, no. But I can't say that all and out. I've got to continue to ask you questions and make you realize it until one day you get told you got the $297 check.
which is where it gets even more crazy because, you know, I'm like, okay, so there's this new plan in place, you know, and in 2022, the business was doing pretty good. You know, I have my content team, Jessica Koch, been with her for 5 years as well. And my content team they took social media for me to the next level. They made it where I didn't have to sit there and make my own post, all of those things. The clips, like I knew that I was a solopreneur, but I needed to have my legs around the business, right? Just like the legs to your table in your life. Whenever you're building something, it needs a foundation. And I was like, well, shoot, I have the legs to my table in real life. How do I create the legs to the business, the legs to the table in real life for this foundation of the business? And this can't be something that goes extra fast because if we do it extra fast, everybody's going to fall through it. There's no foundation when you're trying to get to the top before you even build it. Brick by brick, you have to build something that's yours in order to know how it works, the mechanisms, the mechanics, so that when you do bring people in and you are no longer in your business, but you are running it, you know how it works and it's fluent, right? So it's like everything I was doing was fluent to this temple here, my body. So when we talk about the decisions, there was a lot of stuff going on. You know, we were able to, in Colorado, we can bill Medicaid and those types of things. Not us in general, but if we have a provider that does, then we can bill and work with people through Medicaid as coaches, as recovery coaches. So I wanted to try that. And I remember being let go from a few organizations. I had a different message. In 2022, I had 4 deaths happen right in a row. I was coming up on 3 years. I had funerals left and right to go to. I had been let go of a particular company. And everything felt really, really not great. Everything felt horrible. And so I had somebody approach me and ask me, well, hey, why don't you jump in and you can bring your clients? Because I had clients and I didn't know where to put them. And he said, well, why don't you come on? We're starting a business. You know, we're starting our business. Remember Purple Mountain Recovery, who I do great business with now as a partner. But He was just getting started and I was getting started. And I remember having that conversation with you. And you were like, but why are you going that route? But it looked like that on your face, but you weren't saying
Like,
that.
wait a minute, he's
You,
new
yeah,
too? Like, what? Like, I think he needs you to come along.
so here I go, because it's gonna be great. And then I knew right then you were like, okay, well, we'll just put your school on hold, right? My university. And I just remember being like, this is gonna work. But I was also worried because I didn't have anywhere to put all these people I was coaching. And so I was like, now we're just marching and we don't even have anywhere to be. So I was really concerned about people who are
Yeah.
battling addiction and mental health. And I'm like, I need to make sure I have a place for
drop
my
their
people.
ball.
I can't drop them or either. And so I was just working for free. I was just I was just working for free and helping them and trying to build enough of this capital and money to be able to build Medicaid. So here we go. I call my dad and I'm like, money's not coming in. There's no money coming in. Nothing. I just holding on to some savings now. And, my classes, I had kind of veered away from my university a little bit, trying to make this happen. And I also was grieving. And we also had a wedding at the same time. So 4 funerals and a wedding, right?
It's a movie.
So we just had all this stuff going on. And I was like sober as could be. And my legs to the table, they were solid. They stayed with me. My therapist, my entrepreneur coach, everybody was with me. And so I made this decision and I'm finally like, it's time. Receipts are coming in. I get a call from, Scott Mosier from Purple Mountain Recovery, and he says, the money's in. And I'm like, thank God, because I'm broke. Okay, at this point, I'm broke. At this point, Kayla McCoy came into my life and was like sitting there waiting for the good news with me. And I go, how much is it? And he goes, I said, just go on ahead and just, direct deposit. Just put it in my deposit. And he said, okay. How much is it? Just tell me how much it is. And he said, $297 to share. I'm sitting there, $297,000? $2,970. $29 million.
It could be anything but 297.
But 297. And he said, nope, just $297 and we can share it. Kayla's face is looking at mine and I feel so defeated. I almost fainted because now I'm like, I think I'm going to lose Sparkle. Like, I think I'm going to lose my business. And I'm like, I got to call my entrepreneur coach, Jason Tracy. And I got to tell him what's going on. But before that, I hadn't called yet. And the reason why is because I was waiting on money. And I remember my brother, Philip Lindsay, he sent me something in the mail or on a text. And it said, when you're in God's waiting room, just wait longer. Now, Phil had not heard anything. I think he still knows about the 297. He might, but he had not sent anything. And I heard that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in the waiting room. And I just have to wait longer. So 2-3 weeks is going by. I'm getting real grumpy, right? Kayla's like, you're going to need to take a run around the block or something because you're getting grumpy. I was grumpy. I was irritable. The money still wasn't coming in. And I'm sitting there and I get this thing on my phone and it says RMSL. And it's a phone call. And I'm like, pick it up. Is this Sparkle Lindsay? And I was like, yes, this is her, because, I'm kind of running a business at this point. At this point, I have
I'm still here.
Yeah, this is Sparkle. Yeah. And are you Sparkle LLC? Yes, I am. He said, well, I heard you have a wonderful academy. He said, and I want to take 16 people through your course. And I said, mine? He goes, yeah, you are Sparkle, right? And I go, yes. Oh, yes. We have 16 people. That will be great. And so I'm sitting there And I'm like, this is going to be awesome. So I go to take this, I go to get ready to do everything with him, everything else you can think of. And I look up and I'm talking to Kayla and I go, how am I going to get the books? I only have $5.70. How am I going to get the books? I got the class. How am I going to get the books? And then I forgot to say, well, if you could pay half now and half at the end, that'd be great. So
Because you're
this
so
looks
excited
like
about
I'm
the
just
call.
doing things for free. And
Yeah.
I'm like, what am I going to do? Right. So I'm sitting there and I get to my aunt's house and I'm like, Auntie, things are magical, but I don't have any money. And now they're not going to have any books. And now I don't know what to tell them. And she goes, well, honey, things will work out. They're going to be all right. I called my dad and he said, everything will work out. Just call the person back and just let them know, hey, could you do half at the beginning and then half at the end for the class, which is normally what you would do anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there and I'm going through my mail because, I lived with my aunt for a little bit while I was getting sober. Going through my mail and I look and it says Wells Fargo retaliation. Looks like when I was in treatment, I had been paying my car off and I didn't realize that it was being paid off. So when I got it, it was paid off. So I thought everything was fine. Well, money was still coming out. So it was a remediation, something that came through. And I looked and I was like, I think this is a check. I opened it up, $4,250.
Wow.
I was able to get the books.
Wow.
And after that, 2022, it was June of 2022, right at the end, my classes have never stopped. Never stopped. I work with Colorado Psych Clinic, so I also still able to, build Medicaid and have coaches, train coaches to be great coaches. And then I freaking got my first set of classes rolling. And then obviously, starting out here this weekend coming up, I'll have a class of 45. So close to 1,300 coaches in about 3 or 4 years. It changed my life forever. So I get on the phone, call you, and I say to you, you're never going to believe what has happened. And I'm talking to you and you're like, $297. Are you okay? I was like, wait, but the story's not done yet. So we get going and I'm talking to you and I'm like, the business is taking off and it's beautiful. And I just remember trying to do all these little things to like get people to come to my classes and, half price this and half price that. And it just took off. And I knew that if I believed in what I was speaking about, I don't care what curriculum's in front of me. If I knew what I was speaking about and if I could speak from my heart and just let people know how important it is to be sober and how important it is to be, this best version of yourself, maybe, just maybe, people would buy into it. Maybe people would want to be a recovery coach just like me. Maybe they want to be a facilitator. Maybe they want to develop. And here we are. 6 years later, 1,300 people have gone through the program. The business is blowing up, and when I say it's blowing up, it's blowing up with love, honesty, integrity, value. People who came through the programs and now are out there with other companies and working hard and finding themselves in their journey the same exact way I have. And it's just beautiful to watch them come and always and forever be a Sparkle alumni, always and forever be a part of the university, always have a place to call home. And here it is. It's just the beginning. So, yeah.
It's so beautiful how you're literally, and you talk about being in God's waiting room, right? In the waiting room, and you're sitting there like, how am I going to get these books?
Yeah.
And there doesn't look to be any hope in sight. And then this check that you would have no clue comes in the mail, and then boom, that leapfrogs into that next opportunity, and it just spins out and doesn't stop.
And then there was times like in the classes, right, where all of a sudden I'm like feeling my voice in these classes. And this was what I knew. I was like, I need to speak. Like, I need to speak. And I remember Frank Sinclair. he was also a good coach of mine. He still is. He said, girl, you don't need no Toastmasters. You are Toastmasters. He said, get in there and start speaking. And that was when I got into these classes and I'm facilitating and I'm like, I have something to say. I have something to say. And I'd be in these classes and everybody be in there and I'm levitating. This is how much talking and going and moving I'm doing. And I'm like, I have something special here. I know it. I feel it. And everybody else around me, they felt it. And you know, whenever you're in a room and you start to realize other people are lifting with you, you can feel their hearts. I said, we have something good happening. And it wasn't like good happening as far as money. You know, my family, my father, we've been rich in love, not in money, you know. But being rich in love is a whole hell of a lot better. That's the only thing that has helped me continue going through is that everybody that has went through this program, I love them dearly. Just like I love myself. And that's how I know I have something special because it's built off of our heartstrings. Not head-centered, but heart-centered, as Carmelo Sullivan would put it. And going into those things, I'm like, the time is now. And it's like every time that something happens, I hear that. I hear my father's voice saying, the time is now. And I can take myself back to all the different, all the grit and the grit and the hard work and the giving up on yourself, but not really. You know, like I give up on today, but I'll be back tomorrow. You know, that's entrepreneur style, right? I'm just going to get a coffee and cry, but I'll be back. Right? And then knowing that there's light at the end of the tunnel and that it is what it is, but you got to stay true to you. And so here we are now, 2025, and we're going to have this thing tonight for Recovery Awareness Month and for, you know, turning our pain into purpose. And I wouldn't have thought in a million years I'd be able to do it here. But I also wouldn't have thought in a million years after 5 years we'd be right here. Mm. And I remember how hard it was. You know, I was like, do I even want to do this entrepreneur stuff? Do I even want to, what am I doing? And I remember taking on a lot of different things. I know for you, you were like, well, Sparks, really and truly, you have books you write, you can speak, and you have a university. What are you doing? It was like I was going everywhere else but where I needed to be.
Yep.
And I don't know why we do this. Often I think we do this because it's called afraid of success, a fear of not being good enough, maybe, right? And I had to go back to where my therapist said, is it maybe that you just change the verbiage to instead of I'm not good enough to I'm doing the best that I can? Give yourself grace. Don't play into your OCD or your perfectionism and just be what you need to be. With that, how does that feel? And I remember how relaxed it made me because I was like, it wouldn't be in my hands if I wasn't supposed to build it. Mm-hmm. So if you want to put it down, Spark, it's because you're choosing to, not because anybody wants you to. And who cares what anybody else wants? What do you want? And that's when I believe the journey really began, because I started to say, I don't have time to worry about what everybody else is doing. The only competition I have is against me. I'm running around in this little head of mine after myself. There's no one else who knows what I'm doing or what's happening but me. Yep. But I feel like I'm in competition with something, and it's only me in the room. So slow down, take time, truly be intentional and methodical with what you're doing, and build it. It was written for you, so do it.
I love going back. You talk about building the foundation, because I see a lot of entrepreneurs, they start with the roof, you know, and like and they're running, they got the roof, but it's like, where do we put this? And, right. You know, and it's like building that foundation is so important. And even going back, I would say with your family, like building the foundation, the foundation is that love. And when you can live your life like that and you have that foundation there, all the pieces do fall in place when you start working on the other things.
They do, because I talk a lot about my family and how they were scared. You know, I'm the oldest of 5, and And they were like, is Sparkle gonna come out of this one? All my family, not just my siblings. You know, there's all kinds of Lindsays out there and Mathanies and Tracos and all of the above. There's so many of us. And they were a little bit in shock for sure. Like, is Sparkle gonna come out of this one? You know? And when they were able to watch me do it, I've always been a huge role model for my siblings and all of those things. But this one right here, it took the cake. I had to eat a lot of humble pie. I had to admit and accept that I had a problem, and that I wanted to fix it for me. And I had to kind of blind and block out all those things that other people were saying. And I just had to get it done, because whether it's not going to affect you if I'm not sober, it's going to affect me. And it's not going to affect anybody that has anything to say about it. That's not their life. It's mine. But they rallied with me.
Yeah.
And when they seen what I was doing with my classes and everything else, and my father, quantum energy healer now, he went through his whole transitioning too while I was going through my transitioning and starting the business. I said, hey, I need you to bring it to the platform. So we also do quantum energy in these classes, and we give people a chance to be open-minded and understand what that is, and being able to really find yourself in your traumas, clear your chakras. So I went spiritual as well. All of this started happening to me as my journey continued, and I started working deep from within. So I believe this, and anybody else can believe what you want. But when we start to unravel these layers of trauma and these layers of unhappiness, or even happiness, we start to unravel them and get underneath them, breakthroughs can transpire. So every time that I've done a really, really deep set of shadow work on myself, breakthroughs take off. And I see it every time, because I'm willing. You have to have the willingness to call yourself out. You have to have the willingness to self-reflect even when you don't want to. And you have to have the willingness to say, do I want to fix it? And for me, right? And can I be honest with myself and authentic and say, girl, you know you need to take care of that shit. So there's a lot of work in this self-awareness and self-reflection, and being mindful of what's happening and being where our feet are, and realizing like, nah, this is a me thing. This isn't a them thing or a we thing. Sparkle, you're projecting this. What are you going to do? So if we're not sitting around talking to ourselves, and we're not working with ourselves, and we're not dismissing some of this stuff that's building up on our chakras or on our body and our temple, we're messing and missing. We're messing up and missing our breakthroughs. They're never existing because we're not getting past that. And that's what's really happened, is that intentional piece to building this business has being able to observe the manifestation, observe it, and watch it build. When you get there, it's because you've been curious enough about yourself to know it's yours. Now go observe it and make it happen. Takes a long time to get there, and a lot of work and a lot of practice. But when you feel it, you feel it. And that's why I feel like it's a great start to a new beginning in this business, because it has almost been 5 years. You know, now it's time to get busy.
Well, and it comes down to you talk about like it's those growth periods, and one going through recovery, and like the level of awareness and learning about yourself, and all the sitting with yourself, all the things that's happening there, and then the entrepreneurship journey at the same time. I mentioned before, for me, entrepreneurship has been the biggest like discovery of who I am, and that awareness, and a forcing of sitting with yourself and going through that uncertainty, and you're doing it all at one time. And then you get hit with the deaths in your family.
Uh-huh.
The news of not bringing in business, and so you're going through some major
Oof.
hurdles. So I can so clearly see how this is just the beginning. Because now, and I'm not saying there's never going to be any obstacles or
Yeah.
things, because we know those show up every day.
Right.
But like where you're at now, it is go time, and it's going to compound really quickly.
Yes, because I think I mean, I had to go through this. This is the experiences. I think we were talking about, a lot earlier is the experiences are what we need to move forward to make shit happen. Okay, that's what we need. So if you're walking around hoping that you don't gain any lessons,
I
what's that's called not living.
hope I don't get any lessons today.
Hope I don't get any. I had a recovery who once said, "I'm waiting for the lessons." Now, I thought that was pretty funny because that means she's willing to go in. I said, but you do realize you got to mess some shit up in order to get a lesson, right? So waiting for it, it'll never come.
I'm just
She was
gonna
like,
sit here in this comfortable spot.
"Sid." Such a good time. She's doing wonderful. But those lessons, when you're waiting for it, that means you're like, bring it. I'm ready to come. I'm ready for it. Let's go. That's how you know how to work with yourself. That's how you know you're getting deep. You're not doing that superficial bullshit that people call recovery or growth or whatever that is. If you're really growing, you feel it. You know it. It's in here. It's rooted in you because you have been working every day to be the best version of you. And there's nothing else anybody else can say because it's yours. And when it's yours, it's so surreal. It takes you to your knees. It humbles you. It helps you seek to understand new things you need in your life, but also things that other people need in their life too. It brings you to this self-awareness that also brings you to a different lens you start to look through, your own. And it helps you see what's going on around you so that you can keep your business moving by, for me, what people need. If we're not aware of what's going on around us, we might as well just call it up, just pack it up and go home. The point of the matter is that for me, I know there's people out there who need help. I needed help, just like anybody else did. And there were buildings there for me to go to get that. So if I need to do that and build that, I don't need to, I want to. And whatever I have to do, if I have to build a platform big enough to take on the whole world, then I'll freaking do it. And that's it. Because somebody did it for me. And they didn't even think twice. So I think overall, my heart is there. Money comes, money goes. But the relationships we have and the connections that we're building, whether it's building teams and partnerships in business, or whether it's just being a good human, all of it will be done at Sparkle LLC. Nothing more and nothing less. Exactly what I want it to be. And not only that, but holding space for people to create what they want as well.
I have one of my favorite books I recommend all the time. And have you read The Alchemist?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
it's this journey, right? It's
beautiful.
and we've kind of danced around it. One of my favorite lines is when he's talking about like when you make the decision to follow your purpose or follow your legend, it is just that. It's a decision.
Yes.
And there's going to be good things that happen. There's going to be some bad things that happen. There's going to be some just regular things that happen. And they're not good, bad, or indifferent.
Yes.
They are experiences that come along that prepare you for what you're supposed to be.
And the big piece about that is like, this is what I noticed. Like, that's why I said when it's written and divine timing hits and you know your purpose, you are not going to get away from it.
Yeah.
Like, there's been a lot of times I'm like, and just forget this. All of a sudden, someone calls and says, is this Sparkle? And I'm like, okay, I get it. So I'm pretty much going to be in this mission till it's done. Call it a mission because I know that it's a journey, but it's the coolest journey ever because it's yours.
Yes.
And it's built for you. Like nobody, there's only one person I believe, my higher power, that said, we're going to have Jason Tracy call Sparkle on this day to get this done.
Yep.
Or we're going to have this happen during this time because this is a freaking movement. This isn't just a workbook or a podcast or whatever. What I am creating is a movement of believing in yourself, falling in love with yourself, and becoming the best version that you choose to be of yourself. And also creating what you want to anywhere, anyhow, anyway. because that's what you get to do. Understanding and being mindful and aware of what's happening around us so you can catapult to where you need to go. It's called being where we're at, being where our feet are, and knowing that we can do this. But when your purpose is a purpose, it's going to happen. And what we have to do, and this is even for myself too, I'm listening to myself as I speak, it's a matter of accepting it. And then it's a matter of believing in ourselves to do it, because nobody's going to believe in you better than you. And like you said before, I seen it coming when you first jumped on the podcast. I had no clue. That's how much I had no clue. I was coming out of such a hard time in my life. I had lost myself.
Yeah.
And you got to be a part of that, me not rebuilding myself, me unraveling all this stuff and finding myself. Mm-hmm. And every piece of it was so intricate. Every piece of us, all of us have this puzzle to us. And it's so intricate, and we have to find the right fit. And then as soon as we find that fit, boom, takes off. You know?
Well, yeah, because it's so cool. And you were talking about having a call and having an opportunity with all these truck drivers. Yeah. And how many were there?
There's 156,000.
156,000 truck drivers out there that are struggling with sobriety.
Yeah.
And you got a call, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in depth, and I'll let you explain it. But it's one of those things that, like, you, through our conversations going back from the beginning, it's like, oh, I'm doing this recovery thing, but I really want to get over here and help companies and help people within companies. And, as you've built this, the things that you've envisioned have come about in a natural way. I don't see you out there, like, as far as like grinding out and making cold calls, like it's like God has the phone ringing.
Yeah. Like, it's like I never realized, like, I started to, I had a chance to really have the luxury of working with Fortified Academy. And they called me and they're like, we'd love to add recovery coaches to our trucking program, CDL licensing, everything else. Our people need mental health and addiction support. And I was like, that is cool. So we're in the class and everything. And they're explaining to me like the life of a trucker. Yeah. And I think about even when I'm driving next to them and I'm like in the mountains, like in Vail, and I'm like,
oh, geez, yeah.
And then, like you can smell the brakes.
Yep.
And you're like, they have those things where they go up if they lose their brakes. And I'm like, just the thought
I drove through that last year and I'm like, that's frightening. Like, I couldn't imagine.
So then you have to pull over and you got to chain up. Then you might be in a spot where you don't have your truck stops, so now you might freeze to death. I mean, this is what these people are going through to get you your milk. This is what people are doing. Like, they're fighting against all odds up in these trucks. They call it a 8,000-pound missile. They are driving that. And I was like, that is the scariest thing to ever think of. That's the first. And then if anybody in their right mind, okay, whether you have addiction or not, if you get done with that, I could see somebody saying, whew, I need a drink.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah.
So you can only imagine having to bring yourself down from that after driving across town like that for hours and hours on end with, trucks, little cars trying to get in front of you and everything else. It is stressful every time you get out there. So they deserve help too. They deserve to be able to have self-care as well, And so it was the coolest thing to hear, because I was like, wow, we can take this to a totally different level when it comes to people walking alongside people, period. Coaching, peer coaching, whatever that may be, So it was a really good experience. And I think when we talk about like the corporate world and things like that, and we talk about the curriculum that I've been getting into a lot more and writing for, obviously, Do You Have the Legs to Your Table is on its way, taking off. And I'll be talking a lot about that tonight. The Recovery Coaches Playbook is on its way to print as well. Self-care is the best care, level up. We got the prints yesterday for that to go into high schools, colleges, corporate companies, all of the above. So that one's going to be really exciting.
Tell me about that, because that is so cool.
Yeah, I segue into children, right?
Yeah.
Um, you
But that,
know,
I mean, it's so important because, again, it's going back to
yes.
the foundation. And we're talking
Hmm.
about like, we look at all the things in what we do in life, and it comes down to a lot of times the things that happen to us
Yeah.
as kids. And like,
Yes. I think it was more so. So I get into this industry of addiction and mental health as a recovery coach. And then, I become this facilitator who is like coaching coaches, right? Because we went from recovery coach to the coach's coach, which is what my name is, right?
yeah.
And all these coaches across the globe doing their thing, to someone saying, "Hey, we kind of liked your Being a Better Me for Me book." It was 28 pages of simple but deep stuff.
Yep. Yep.
And we want to know if you'd like to go ahead and be a part of our pilot, which is PTech in Colorado, in Aurora, for curriculum. And I said, absolutely, I'd love to do it. So I went on back and I talked to my book coach, which was Wahida Clark Publishing. And I told her what I wanted to do. And she said, well, let's get busy. So we started building out this curriculum. And of course, I go, we need a full year's worth. Now, they didn't ask for a full year's worth. And I feel like my higher power said, but you need a full
But
year's
you
worth.
still need it for you.
So I said, what do I want to call it? And I said, well, everybody loves to be the caregiver. Let's take care of everybody else but us. So how about this? Let's build self-care is the best care, level up curriculum. And let's put it in schools where kids, corporate people start to put themselves first and then illuminate their light and their well-being to others. If we can teach that at a younger age,
Wow.
people will be doing so great with their mental health, any type of addiction, and walking alongside each other because they know that they need to take care of them first and love themselves first. And if we can start with the kids, then that's the best way to start. And so we went on ahead and we wrote it. And now it's here. And there's a journal for the kids, curriculum for the kids, and then also a facilitator implementation guide as well. So we put it all together. Kind of overdid it, but I don't care. And it's for the kids. Anything for them because they deserve it all, and they're our future. And I feel like being able to speak to, I'm 40 years old as an adult and those types of things, and then watching my parents go through their life experiences and their life's purpose right now is beautiful. They're 60 and older, and all of those things is beautiful. But our kids need something to call home because this world that's changing is different. And if you don't know how to take care of yourself or love yourself, you can be lost right from the beginning. And it happened to me. It's probably happened to a lot of people. Our kids are different. They feel. They do go to therapy. They got parents that do want them to work on themselves. So now they want to jump into these roles in these fields as they get older. They've got to know how to take care of themselves, and we got to start it early. Now, I'm not saying that self-care is a job because I'm starting to notice a lot of things are like that. It's a must. It's a must. Self-care is supposed to be joyful. Self-care is supposed to be something that you look forward to doing every day. Something new, something that makes you feel whole, not something you have to do,
Yeah.
something you want to do. And then something as simple as 3 to 5 minutes, being able to level up just by practicing it daily and it becoming you. And knowing like, wow, I'm getting a little bit better every day. Putting something new on your schedule just to go try it. Be open-minded. Open your heart and your mind to just see what else is out there for you. That's self-care. Listen to a song, create a playlist. We got all kinds of little fun stuff in there for people to do and have their little recipes of food that they need to eat and just stuff that really helps you get lost within you. That's why I wrote it, and that's where my heart's at.
It's so incredibly powerful because I think one of the biggest epidemics is worrying about other people.
Yeah.
And let me back that up. It is not even understanding who you are.
Right.
And we want to put other people first, but we don't do that work to really understand who we
Yeah.
are or
We,
what we enjoy.
exactly, Jay. Jay, we want We want the meat and the potatoes before we even get like the green beans or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We want all the good stuff, but we don't want to do all the work to get there. And that sounds cliche. So let me take it back. Okay. What it is that we think I'm going to be successful tomorrow. Any person that you've ever seen.
Yeah.
I was looking back and it made me cry. It made me tear up because I watch a lot of these legendary people and how they become, right? I've been watching it. Like I watch Martin Luther King and how he grew up and all the different adversity that he dealt with. And everybody sees this person who's out there, who's talking, who's trudging the way, equality, blacks, whites, all together, all these things. But have you ever thought about what was happening behind the scenes? Oprah Winfrey was another one. Her business was successful right around my age. Did anybody ever see what her life was like before that?
Nope.
But look at where all these monumental ages are where things took off. Right around here. They had to do some living in order and have some experiences in order to take their lives to the next level. All of these people have had to do that. So when you're talking about saying, I'm just going to go right from here to there, everybody's got a story as to how they got there and the foundation and the support they had to build. And so I watched so many people and I was like, Brene Brown, I watched these stories and I was like, this is so cool. Because nobody pays attention to the back end piece, the hard work, the stuff that like you just wanted to quit a few times and you knew you couldn't. And there was people who held you up and said, nope, this is what it is. You got to keep moving. Everything about that. And most people don't see that. They only see, can I help you? And I'll say it again because I say it in a few things. Let me distract myself from myself to help everybody else but me because I'm afraid of what I might discover about me.
Yep.
And anybody that can do the opposite and work on you and then help others, you bad mother. Shut your mouth. You bad to the bone because it only starts with you. So giving away somebody fake hope because you have none yourself is called hypocritical. Giving away something you do not have means we're in trouble. Mm-hmm. You got to give away that abundance of what you have and keep what you have too to maintain your balance and keep moving. If you can't do both, you still got some work to do. Point blank. And I know every day I fight with making sure that I'm not putting others before me because it doesn't work if I'm not okay. It's hard, and it's hard when your heart's bigger than your eyes, but you got to have those boundaries and you have to sit still and say, we need to take a chill pill and let ourselves have some self-care and some downtime and enjoy our families and the people we love and everything else, and then jump back in. You can create far better when you rest.
It's so huge. And I know being a fixer was a big part of you growing up. And that's the way I want to help everybody. And then it's like you spend so much time doing that and you put other people first. And then again, who are you?
Yeah, because here it is. There's this picture that they paint, especially I feel like, for Black women. And I think I've told you, we've talked about it before, the strong Black woman syndrome. It drives me crazy. It makes us feel like we have to hold up the world. That's what it feels like. And in all reality, I think I said in the end of that, I'm a woman of many strengths. You hold yours, I'll hold mine, and we'll walk across the finish line together. Ain't nobody leaving me behind. And I'm not throwing a bunch of people on my back to take them somewhere and then I barely make it. I can't make that make sense.
Yeah.
Can you?
Nope.
Okay, so why can't we do it together and why can't you walk for yourself? Okay, so whether people like it or not, I can't drag you around anywhere and I'm not going to. Now you want to walk? You want to do your journey? I'll walk with you. But I cannot do it for you because I have to do mine. And there's so many of us who want to do everybody else's life but our own, and then we wonder why we're left behind. So if you're left behind right now and you're hearing me say this, stop it. You have to come first. You have to put the mask on your face if you were in the airport and you were coming down and a plane's coming down. How are you going to help somebody if you don't have any air? We have to be intentional with why we're helping someone. So my mission statement has always been helping people help themselves one step at a time through positive transformation. helping people help themselves. I can't do it for them, and I'm not going to. No one could do it for me. I had to want to. So if we're getting in the way by dragging them, how are we helping them? We're not. And then we're exhausting ourselves, we're upset, and we wonder why we're not getting anywhere. Stop dragging people around thinking that you are the savior. You're not. You're just really giving them a setback and a setback of your own. Everybody's got to do this when they're ready. And we want everybody to come, but everybody's not always ready. And that's okay. When they are, they'll come. Give them space. Don't give up on them. Don't judge them. Let them come when they're ready and be that guide or that person that helps them. But don't drag them if they're not ready, because they're not going to take it seriously. They're not ready to receive it. And we have to be able to, as a society, accept that and work on what we need to do and what we are with us. And the rest will evolve as it may.
Well, and you say that, and I love that because, I was thinking about this earlier as we were talking, but like, you weren't ready to be where you're at now 8 years ago.
Oh, heck no. There was nothing.
It was always inside you.
Yes.
It was always who you were. It was always your purpose. But to step into that purpose would have been impossible 8 years ago. Wait a minute.
And when you step in, Jason, you're like, this is happening. Like, I think there was a million times I'm like, Jason, this is happening. And you're like, yes, Sparkle, we've all been waiting here at the finish line for you to come on. And I'm like, I think I'm ready to start walking now.
It's so funny because you'll call me up so excited, and I'm like, I want to be so excited too, but I'm like, yeah, I know, yeah, like, and I am so excited, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, like it's about time, like, yeah, I've watched.
Go take a nap because we done had 6 cups of coffee waiting. I guess you're not coming today, so we'll. And the cool part about it is that I'm like, it's like you have to explore this with yourself to be like, I am good at what I do.
Yeah.
And then you hear everybody else who's like, you're great at what you do and you do it. But it doesn't quite resonate until something happens for you. And you're like, I'm really good at what I do. And all along, everybody's like, we just been marching, waiting for you to like get on the podium. Could you please speak now? And you're like, I do have a voice. It's like having to find all of this and really, really surrender to everything else that's going on and hear that voice in your head that says, let's go. And that part right there is not something anybody can give you but yourself. And you have to be patient with it because maybe it's not time yet.
Yes.
You're in God's waiting room.
Yep.
So you might have to wait a little longer, you know?
And I think I don't know if we talked about this in the one that didn't record or this one. I just lost it. Dang it.
I think go ahead.
No, go ahead. What was you going to say?
I think that, for a long time too, Jason, I lost I didn't lose anything, but I remember my dad, he did what we call, for quantum energy, he was doing a soul retrieval. And, I cried. This was like, I was a year in, 2 years in. And I cried so hard. It brought me back to all of my memories from like age 3. And I got going down memory lane because, soul healing is heavy, but it feels so good once you get through it. And that's when I started remembering who the hell I was. I remembered how I was raised. I remembered who I was. I remember who my father is. I know who my siblings are. I know why we have a household name. We have a Lindsay household name. I know who I'm supposed to be and who I am because I choose to be, right? I had to bring all this back. It's kind of like if you were watching like a Van Damme movie.
Yep. Yep.
And he's like getting beat up real bad.
Yep.
I love Van Damme movies, by the way. He's getting beat up real bad and he's, and he has to go into meditation mode. I don't know how they do this in movies because by then you'd be really beat up. But anyway, he's going into meditation mode and all these memories are coming back to him. And before you know it, it's like, wham, that one solid punch that you just stop. And you realize you're the master of your art and of your mind. And that is a powerhouse of a person. And I can feel that. You know how you can start to feel that happening, but you have to feel that in yourself because you're going to feel it differently than how people see it.
Yep.
And then you know you're walking. It feels like you've got this. I don't know if you ever seen The Last Dragon. Who's the master? Not with Bruce Lee, but the other one.
Yeah.
With Shonuff.
Yep.
And he gets that glow. That's what it starts to feel like. And can't nobody tell you differently.
Yes.
No one. And it doesn't matter what it is. I'm going to get it done regardless because I'm me. I'm the master of my craft. I know what I'm doing. I've peaked and I'm ready to go. It's like running track, and I seen your son running that 400, right?
Yeah.
And the first 400, you want to die. Okay? You're like, 300's good. I think I'll just roll off the track. And then before you know it, the body starts to condition itself. It's the same thing with the mind, body, and spirit. The more practice we do, the body starts to condition itself. And before you know it, it peaks.
Yeah.
And it snaps in and it aligns, and there's your glow. So it's a cool feeling to go through, but it's a great feeling of transformation for sure. And you go through the ascension period, then transformation. And the ascension period is where it's ugly. It just doesn't feel good. It's just, you got to be the gift of being comfortable with being uncomfortable, you know?
Well, and it all comes down to that belief in one of my biggest pet peeves is like how people interpret being humble. Because I think there is a thing of being humble, but then there's we naturally self-degrade ourselves. We're naturally the biggest critics of ourselves. Oh, yeah. And so it's very easy to just now be on this other side where we're tearing ourselves down. And I see people that like find being humble as honorary. And I think that's as a culture.
Yes.
And because of that, they've got to look at like they put other people first.
Yes.
They don't want to say they're good at something.
Yes.
No. Like embrace what you're good at. Embrace what you're special because now you're being selfish and you're robbing the world.
Yes.
You're robbing the world of your impact.
Because, people don't understand the concept, like you said, of humility. Humility is from within, right? Like where you humble yourself by some of the ways you think or the stuff you do, right? Not by like, yeah, you go first because I think that's how it works. But we're taught in society and with the different companies we work for, we're taught to put people first.
Yeah.
If you're a leader or a boss, you're taught to lead. But whoever said that leading means you had to be at the front? How about humbling yourself, taking yourself out of the equation and letting others rise to the occasion and walking with them? Most leaders can follow too. And most great leaders don't have to do much. They don't have to say much because they believe in the people that they're leading. So if you believe in the talents of someone else and you focus on their strengths and help them grow forward, everybody grows, including the leader.
Yes.
And those people have value. It's considered the Hawthorne effect, but I learned it a long time ago when I was in corporate. And I learned it because everybody was focusing on people's weaknesses. And I kept asking, why the hell would anybody work on what you're bad at?
Right.
Like you
doesn't make any sense.
All this good stuff. And you're like, but let's work on the things we're bad at because then why?
And let's not own the stuff that we're good at. Let's
the good stuff. Make the good stuff
do
great.
More of it.
And the stuff that usually we think we're bad at, I hate using that word, it's so judgmental.
Yeah.
Things that we think we're not good at are usually things we don't like.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so if you're focusing on the things you don't like, that sounds extremely agonizing.
Because guess what? There are people that like doing that stuff, and it may seem crazy to us, but they do, and they thrive on it.
I remember sitting here, and I have a team full of people, and I went through this work-life balance program, and I'm like, really? You guys want me to have them focus on why they're not good at something? I was like, okay, we don't do half the exercise, but I'm going to do it the way I want to do it. This is when I was in corporate. I remember being like, so everybody cross out the not good section. And they're like, okay, all right, I'll do it. And then I said, and everybody look at all the things you said you're good at. I said, now, I want you to take that piece of paper and I want you to switch it with your partner. I said, now either you guys have common things you're good at or they're totally different.
Ooh, that's so powerful.
But one thing is this: you guys are all great at something, which means some of the things that you think you're not good at, someone else is great at. So let them be great at it because that's their journey. And then you be great at what you're great at. And before you know it, everybody starts to commend each other for what they're great at, which means there isn't anything bad. Everybody's doing what they love to do. And when everybody does what they love to do, people start to say, why not me?
Yep.
I believe in me. I can get this done. I can go for that job. I can do it because I'm good at this. And that's it. I remember doing this for companies, and that's why they did call me the fixer. But I wasn't a fixer because I went in there and I did it. It's because I could look at everybody's skill sets, listen to what they wanted, and put them there.
Yeah.
And the rest was history.
Yep.
They knew I trusted that they could do it because they loved it. And then after that, they needed help or guidance. I'd be there, but I never dragged them around. It was what they were good at. They knew it better than I did.
Say, like, they make your team better. That was one of the things I did as a leader too. It's like finding their strengths, and like they're at a job. Like, first off, most people that are at a job are not there because they love the job. You know, like they have to make money and find something that you like decent. But okay, but you're there at this job. Now let's find the things that you really love and bring that to the table.
Let's find the things you really love. Let's bring it to the table. And now let's take you to the next level by owning your own development. Now, if you recall, when we first started, I said I went from knowing how to own your own development to then owning my own recovery. I knew how to help people own their own development, but I didn't know me. I know how to own my own recovery, and I've always known how to own my own development. So now, as a leader who is sober and do know how people can do what they're great at because they know that they own their own development, we're going to have ourselves a hell of a party. And everyone is going to catapult forward because they're all doing what they love to do. And if you as a leader do not have time to hear what people are great at, you're not a leader. You have to listen to what the people you are serving. You are serving as a leader. You are not speaking at someone. You are serving people who want to do great. So you have to let them do great. But as a leader, you have to be quiet and place them in places to be successful. And if you do that, they'll take you to the promised land because they love you for them being seen and them being heard. And this isn't just corporate. This is being a human being. If we just listen to each other and we hear people, we can place people or help people be successful in anything we do. But we have to take ourselves out of that and allow others to shine. That's exactly what Sparkle LLC's company does. When I'm bringing people in, because I will be very soon, I want you to come as authentic as you can so we can help you take yourself to the next level. I can't do that for you because it's not my life, but I can walk with you. That is a leader. And I deem myself a pretty damn good leader. I always have been, I always will. But one thing I will do differently is not fix everybody else. I will let them fix themselves.
The thing that I'm most excited about with you is seeing your level of belief system and confidence, because that's where it's all at. Where I forgot, like as a half statement, is like, I don't know if it was here as we were recording or somewhere else in our conversation today, but you'd said, I was a good coach because I didn't say this is what you need to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like I see that, like I can give you the words, I could write out a whole script, I could tell you this is your business plan, but if you don't believe it, it's not gonna work. No. And so that's the process, is like you've gotta believe it. You've gotta go through it, It's
like somebody telling somebody, we make the term nobody should ever should on you.
Yes.
Okay, what you should do, what you need to do. I remember what my daddy told me. What you need to do is go to treatment. I said, well, what you could do is pass me a beer behind you so we can talk about it. He was like, I'm just saying, I'm not ready. So you can push me all you want, but that's just going to make me go further and further away from what you're saying.
Yeah.
And this is inevitable. When people start to feel negated or forced, I know for a fact the hairs on the back of my neck stand up because I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing it, even if it does work, right? Because I'm not, right? So how do we help those that want to move forward, but they don't know how? We have to hold space for them to figure out when. And we have to be patient as coaches, as leaders, to let them. They may not be ready yet. And that doesn't mean because they're not ready, you got to force it. Because they're still not going to be. Another thing is this: when people want to get sober, they're going to want to get sober. We don't know when that's going to happen. So talking about what people need to do or how they should get sober, what does that have to do with you?
Yeah.
Are you sober? If so, mind your business. Let them do what they need to do.
Yep.
And another thing is that if they leave and they go back out, or they have a reoccurrence, or somebody has returned to use, or they're overeating, and then they have an emotional reoccurrence or return to use to eating or gambling, who are we to say anything? Look at yourself in the mirror. I'm pretty sure there's some things that you keep doing over and over again, and you wonder why. So if you have time to do that, then you have time to stay out of people's business if they figure it out too. Because all of us have something that we're doing that we know we shouldn't be doing. And it's because it's a part of being human. So I don't care how many times you mess up. Come on back. The door's always open. No judgment here, because I'm pretty sure I probably messed up just 10 minutes ago too. The point of the matter is that did you learn from it?
Did you learn from it?
And did you die? No. So the difference is that clearly it was an experience you needed to move forward in your life. And it only happened for you at that time because it's for you.
Yep.
And there's nothing I would ever change with the journey I have, from autoimmune to turning down a promotion to being in a wheelchair and re-walking, having siblings, all of the above, and starting this business and going and having addiction issues at the same. Nothing I would change, because I had to go through it to be exactly who I am today in this present moment. And other than that, the people who were with me and are not, there was a reason why. And that's it. But what I can say is that everything that did happen back there is gone. And the future isn't here yet. So what are we going to do with today?
And that, I love that, because that's a great segue. Circling back, you brought up like the overnight success.
Yeah.
And as you, I love that you brought that up, because as you were talking about like all these things that you have going on, like there's going to be in a few months where people are like, oh my God, where'd the Sparkle Lindsay come from? Like, she's overnight success. She just blew up. And I'm telling you, like, from the first conversation I had with you, I'm like, I told my wife, I'm like, this, like, Sparkle, like, I met somebody that she's going to blow up. She's going to be like Oprah. She's going to be like a household name. Everybody's going to know who she is. And saying that from a point of being a recovery coach, you know, like, I'm saying that from a spot of where you were, but it's like being able to see it and see that climb. But all this stuff that all the seeds that you've planted that are growing into plants now, you planted them a while ago. They've been visions that you've had, and now they've just fully developed. But you've brought this experience and this growth that you've had over these 5 years into the final product. And it's like boom. It's like trying to think of a good musician that like has all this music that they, and then all of a sudden they blow up, and it's like you have all this content, Tupac or something. You know, it's like it just boom. It's where did it all come from?
Yes, where did it all come from? And I think, Daryl Johnson from Thriving Women Network, because obviously, you know me, when we first started, I was like, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this, and I kept it going because I loved sports and it was self-care. Okay, so Daryl Johnson runs his own business. And all of a sudden, I'm talking to him and I'm like, I got to take a step back a little bit because the business is starting to really grow and I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. And he's like, girl, you done planted all that corn and now the corn is coming. And I said, well, it's turning into popcorn.
It's burning.
And he said, take a little step back. I remember talking to you and you're like, okay, now it's time to revamp. And it's that scary feeling like you're getting there. But the whole point of this is that, like you said before, overnight success. Absolutely not. This has been blood, sweat, and tears.
Yep.
I mean, just even flying out here today, I'm like, do I have everything I need? Do I need to get... Okay, I feel like I'm sober. I am sober. That's great. All right, here we go. Get on the mic. Get some sleep. I mean, everything's still happening. But to most people who see it, they're like, whoa, where did this come from? But here's one thing I will say. To all those people who listened to me when I first started. Every person that has ever followed me, you guys know how far I came from. You guys walked with me because it's one thing to possibly be a household name, but it's another when you start to feel the hearts of others that are rooting for you. I look at a lot of the posts that go up, and I hear a lot of great comments from great people, and people tell me, man, you're hitting my soul. Everything you're saying to me makes me feel so full of love and light. And they also say a lot of things like, woo, this podcast was rough because you hit me the first 5 minutes. Stop it. It was like watching the podcast world grow up with me. So I have like grown up followers who are like going on this journey with me. It was the coolest thing to watch people from 5 years ago say, Sparkle, you really stepping up your game. You still moving. And I'm like, oh my God, that was somebody from like 2020 when we first started. And it was so cool. You know what I mean? So it's like knowing that you have people who have been like, I've been keeping my eye on you for a minute. It's just, it's so much gratitude. Oftentimes when you get into the entrepreneur world, you can feel alone. And then when you realize, you have the legs to your table and you have people who care for you, but when you realize that even the people who follow you feel you, every piece of that I feel. And so I'm forever grateful. I was so scared to speak like this, so scared. And I just remember so many people saying, you have a voice. And now it's coming to fruition. And I'm forever grateful for people just listening, because it feels great to feel heard, taken seriously, understood, valued, and respected. And hopefully when I communicate and I talk and I feel that way, that I respect and tell the truth and be honest with everybody that I can and speak from my heart. And I say that for anybody else that wants to do this. Speak from your heart and be authentic. Be proud of what you speak about. And be proud of the people who follow you. Be proud of the people who love you. Be proud of and be happy for the things that are coming to you. And just don't lose sight of the little things. The little things like drinking Jason Tracy's coffee. Because that happened, right? And being in a studio.
Without creamer.
Yeah. Without creamer, right? But those are the little things. How beautiful it is outside. The vivid things that keep us moving.
Yep.
Staying present in all of those moments. And then when people do like your stuff and follow, give them a holler. Let them know that you're watching and you're listening and you care. That's all we all want, is to be human and have the human experience and to be kind and to have unity and to love one another. And that's the only thing I ask for, I would say, in all of this. Like I said, money comes, money goes, but us as the United States, us as a whole, we have to unify and stay strong.
Yep.
We have a lot of smart young kids, a lot of smart people moving and grooving and working together. But the main thing we all have to do, and we can't let go of, is being kind and listening to each other. If we lose sight of that, we've lost sight of the mission. And right now, we're kind of young and we're going through a lot. But one thing we can say is that being united, we do stand. And if we are not, we can fall. So the best way to unite is to be kind, love one another, listen, ask good questions, be involved with each other, communicate effectively, and have fun and laugh and enjoy things for what they are right now. And then don't worry about the future. It's not here. And if we're meant to be there, then we'll get there.
The gratitude piece is so important, and it's crazy to me how many people that don't. You talk about the little things and that don't have a gratitude practice. I was consulting a company a couple years ago, and their sales team, the whole company was like this bad culture, like it
Yeah.
was depressing, like the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Like, what do you want?
What do you, yeah. And so I had this sales team, these two salespeople I was working with, and I would start my meetings off with gratitude. Like, give me something you're grateful for in your personal life and something you're grateful for in business. Just
Yeah.
to start switching some attitudes, right? Because if we're focusing on all the bad things all the time, guess what we're
Yeah.
getting more of? We're
Bad.
attracting more of the bad stuff. That's what
Yep.
we're tuned
You are what
into.
you attract.
And so I would do this thing in every single week. These two salespeople could not find something that they were grateful for. Not they could find something grateful for they're for in business. Maybe they're just like lying about their jobs or whatever,
Right.
But like it'd come down to like personal, and they'd be like,
I
nothing.
don't really
And I'm
know.
like, you woke up today.
Mm-hmm.
You have access to all four limbs. You got in your car and you drove to work with no problem. You
can
have a
talk.
place to stay.
Yeah.
You're like a house you're living in. Like, think about these things because they may seem just little, but not everybody has access to all their limbs. Not everybody jumped in their car today and drove to work. Not everybody has a job. Not everybody has a house to stay in. And so when you're thinking and you're collecting the things that you could be possibly grateful for, wake up. Wake up and feel it.
Yeah.
Wake up and see it.
Feel it, see it, be a part of it. It's a becoming of us when we allow it. It's the ability to act as if it's not there. Like, this is what I should have. Okay, well, that can be taken away at any time. It doesn't matter, by an accident, by death, by anything. Events happen every day, right? But one thing we do talk about is throwing things into existence, speaking through positivity. I mean, I think you've heard me say it. Be careful what you say to yourself, you're listening. And there's things that we can start to do to ourselves that brainwash ourselves into thinking we don't need anybody. We have everything we need. How did you get it though? Like, you literally have to, I literally have to sit down and be like, oh, that is how I got it. This is a lot of work. I need to go take another nap. Like,
Yes.
I literally have to be where I'm at to realize that. But there's this piece too where all of us will have our time when we will go through some adversity. All of us will. And the things that we have right now, we may not have. I had $95,000 a year, place to live, all of those things. I was so unhappy. And I felt like I was in a room full of people yelling as loud as I could. No one was listening. I didn't even want to live. I had that stuff. It wasn't until I was just had to give it all away and choose me first that I realized this is so much bigger than me. It's like we have to go through these things. So just like you said, those two people, there will be a point. You'll see them next week. And they're like, remember when you used to ask us, about gratitude? I went home and 3 months later, I thought about it and something happened to me. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden, I asked myself, why am I not grateful for these things that are happening? So it's like I was blind, but now I see. So it's like when it doesn't, and we'll just put it out there. If it's not happening to you, it doesn't exist. As soon as it happens to you, oh my gosh, hold the floor. This is happening to me. Is it not? So it's an ability for us to realize that we don't know what we don't know about people or anything that's going on. So seek to understand what it is. Not put your opinions in when you don't know what you're talking about because you don't know what you don't know. And just learn. I feel like before we have any right to say anything about anybody or anything that's happening, seek to understand it first. This is how we will be able to use gratitude in our favor. Instead of feeling like, I don't know why that's happening to these people or those people. Why is it happening to us as a whole? Just because it's a certain person who went through that particular thing doesn't mean there's not somebody else going through the same exact thing, just a different situation. But we're all people and we're all going through the same thing. So just sit back and listen to what people have to tell you so that you can you can have the knowledge to move forward. You know, knowledge is power. They use it as, it's kind of a cliche, but when you talk about we don't know what we don't know, and when we know better, we do better, that means we have to shut up and listen so we can have the knowledge and the power to do better instead of just saying whatever we want and having no clue what we're talking about.
Have you ever? I've done this, and I've left times, and I'm like, I'm so stupid. Where I've like went in, and I felt like I'm the smartest person in the room, or I feel like I've got to talk, and I'm talking, and then I leave, and I'm like, wow, that person probably had so much wisdom. Or I find out who a person is, like, wow, I was saying some stupid stuff. That person knew way more than me, and they look and they could see how stupid I was, you know. And I'm just talking, and
Just going
I
and
could
going.
have learned. I could have slowed down and really learned. And I think that we can learn from anybody if we slow down and really listen, because we're all experiencing.
Well, we're all experiencing something, and this is the reason why, you know, everything does, one shoe doesn't fit everyone. And that's the reason why somebody's journey in addiction is different, or somebody's journey in overeating or undereating or whatever that may be, or no addictions at all. Somebody who has low self-esteem, it's different because we all were raised differently. So before we say anything, and this is what, you know, my daddy taught me, but, you know, I had a lot of great mentors also in the corporate world. Amy Bryant, Michelle Gwynn. They were some of those people who helped me become the fixer. Amy Bryant told me, when you walk into a building and you're just getting to know everyone, she said, don't say anything. Just observe and listen. She said, and if you do that for just 2.5, 3 weeks, they'll tell you everything you need to know. So I say that. I follow that to a T even now. And, you know, I'm not running stores or, you know, fixing stores or whatever that may be. I'm not doing that anymore. But it's so true. In every room you're in, yeah, you don't have 2.5 weeks, but you have a good 15, 20 minutes to be quiet and just listen. And it'll tell you the mood and the setting of the room, because you'll start to hear the value that's in the room and what it holds. And it may not be time to say anything. Just observe, listen, consume like a sponge, and leave. And then you'll also come into rooms where it's like, so Jason, what do you do? Right?
Absolutely.
There it is. But that pause and the feeling that you may get that says, this is a room where I need to be quiet.
I call it being like Mandela.
Yeah.
Because like Nelson Mandela had this thing where he would like, and he said he learned it from his dad, who was a tribal chief, and his dad, like everybody would want to hear his dad speak, and he'd come to these tribal meetings and he would ask them questions. And so Mandela's thought process is like, why am I going to start talking and they already know what I'm going to say? You know, like I want to really get to know you and hear what kind of message should I be saying? What could I? What should I? How could I help you? And I'm not going to know if I just assume I have all the answers.
Yeah.
And I work with people on sales so much, and it's like you come and you want to know all the answers. You want to do, you know, X, Y, Z. I'm going to give you this plan, this strategy, and you spent all night working on it. You spent all day working on this presentation, and then it's such a far miss.
Yeah.
Go and be like Mandela.
Yeah.
Listen, ask some questions.
Because, you know, every class that I've ever facilitated and ever had in this university, it's not ever the same. Like, it is exactly, like, I could not tell you how this class this weekend is going to go.
Yeah.
I could not tell you.
Yep.
And that's the honest to God truth. Because everybody's different in it. And everybody has different walks of life, different things they've been through, different values and differences. Everybody's different. So what could have been, you know, I've had a lot of like go live classes. Everybody's talking, everybody's good. And then I've also had classes where everybody's sponges and they're huge observers and they're getting everything. And then all of a sudden, pow, they hit in the middle of the class, right? Sometimes people hit when they get towards the end of the class. But the big piece is drop the grenade and let it take you where you got to go. And it's not about you. It's about what they need. This is a leader thing. What do they need to be successful? And the only way to help them get there, because you can't give it to them, is to listen so you can help them get that much closer to it. Once again, helping people help themselves. and listen to them.
Listen,
Right.
huge.
And I think that was another thing I noticed too when I first started. I was like, I love to speak and I'm going to be an influencer and and I was like, man, you don't ever shut up. You getting tired of your own voice. You know, I still say, I'm like, you ever get tired of your voice or you just like, oh, we need to take a break. But there's also times when I started getting into places and I was like, I don't need to say anything. I don't
Yeah.
need to say anything. I just need to listen, or there's a reason why I always ask why you were brought to a room, so you were brought to a room because maybe there's a lesson you need to learn, brought to a room because maybe there's a lesson that you need to give, maybe just by showing up. It doesn't always mean you have to say something,
Yep. Yep. Yeah. It's so powerful. It's so
Yeah.
powerful.
I think that some of these things we hear and we say, it's kind of like, someone who might be in AA and they do the steps. But in my eyes, I always say, you could do the steps all day. You could do a checklist all day. But until you get underneath the steps and how they pertain to you, they're just fucking steps. So in
Just
life,
going through motions.
if you're just going through the motions because it's on the checklist
Yep.
and it's not touching you in a way that you need it to,
Yep.
what are you doing? And it's the same thing with listening. You can hear all day, but if you're not listening, you're not getting anything anyway. It's called actually doing it, doing the action, right?
Yep.
Or it's no different than people who walk around this big elephant in the room and don't tell how they feel and they're not authentic. And there's other of us who jump on that bitch and ride it. So
Those are my people. Those are absolutely my people.
I mean,
I get frustrated with the people that don't get on the. Yeah, I get frustrated with the people that won't get on the elephant or they get on the lion.
I'm just trying to get to the door. Get elephant out the way, right? If all it's gonna do is break some shit up and then heal it. So if you're gonna sit there and just capture yourself in this little hole to not heal or to not say what you feel, then what are you doing?
Yeah,
you're just holding yourself in contempt, and the only person that can get us out of that is us. And being able to face it head on and do hard things. And all of us don't like to do hard things. If we did, we'd all be great. Doing hard things is not easy.
Yeah.
And getting around or on the elephant or breaking through the wall with it. You got to do something or you just be sitting there trying to tell everybody what you should have, could have been instead of what you deserve to be.
It's that regret, that resentment,
Yes.
because you're inside like what I could have been. You're
Yes.
living a wasted life. You're not fulfilling your purpose.
Not fulfilling it at all. And the worst part in the world, Jason, for me, would be waking up and realizing that I haven't fulfilled it. Because for the longest, before I started my own business, I thought I was fulfilling what I wanted, but I was fulfilling what the people I worked for wanted,
Mm-hmm.
which means I was leaving no room or space for me. And I've seen so many people do this, and it just brings me chills when they're able to break those chains and get right into what they deserve. But it takes time and it takes patience and working with yourself, and I say this a lot. It's not easy to fall in love with yourself. And then you also got to think about the fact that you also want somebody else to one day fall in love with you. So if you don't know how to love you, how are they going to know?
Well, and that's like the chicken or the egg, right? Like, and that's the problem that we're out there is we're going into these relationships when we don't love ourselves. We don't even know how to love ourselves. We don't know what we love. And then we're trying to pin it on another person. And there's going to be a conflict there because
it's different than, it's no different than someone saying that someone doesn't know you. I remember sitting with a recovery and she said, the guy that I'm with, he just doesn't know me. And I just don't understand what his problem is. I said, okay, well, did you tell him what you wanted? And she said,
no, he's supposed to guess it.
I said, okay, so he's supposed to guess what you want? She said, I mean, no, that's not what I'm asking. I said, well, do you know what you want? Well, not really. I said, well, how the hell is he supposed to know? Now he's the bad guy? I said, closed mouths don't get fed. So sound like you're going to be sitting there mad at anybody you bring into your life because you don't know how to tell them what you want because you don't know what you want.
Yep.
Right? So if you don't know what you want, and that's not what I told her, she goes, so really and truly, I don't even know what I want. And now I'm going to be bringing, she said it like this, now I'm going to be bringing everybody in my life who won't know what I want because I don't know what I want. I said, yeah, and then they're probably going to do what? She said, they're probably going to leave. I said, and then you're going to come back to me and you're going to say, and she said, there's always things going wrong with my relationship. And then I'm going to ask you, well, how's your relationship with you? And it got
Because
real
it ties
quiet.
back to the surface. It goes back to the
right back to you want everybody to do the things that you don't know what you want them to do because you don't know what you want, but it's everybody else's fault. Right? Let's I can't make it make sense. I can make what we just said make a lot of sense. And then that song, Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places, popped up in my head. And I was like, that's what that means.
Yeah.
You're
Wow.
looking for love in all the wrong places because you can't find it in you, which means you will never find that because what we attract is who we are.
Yep.
So if we love us, we will attract those that know how to love us. If we don't, well, I don't know what you get, whatever is in the mirror. You know, we are what we attract. So the more we evolve, the more people we attract that evolve.
Yep.
The more we grow or the more work we're doing and we're healed, we will attract healed. But if we are not well and we do not know ourselves, then we will meet someone who is not well and does not know themselves. And then we wonder why we're in this shit show.
I was to say, in this case, two negatives do not make a positive.
No.
You know, when you're in that, you are who you surround yourself around. So if you're struggling with yourself and then you surround yourself with other people that are in the same shoes, guess what path you're going to go down?
Oh, same one. This is the reason why they do say, like, as you're working on yourself and you're going on this journey, you have to have that time to yourself. I think it was like 2 years or so for me where, you know, I think I told you I took myself out on dates. And I always laugh because the coaches, when I'm telling the story, I say, you got, you know, pull a list of shit you like to do, you know, and then go do them by yourself. And so they said, well, which one, which one is your favorite? And I said, I mean, I have a lot of favorites. I said, but one that I know how to tell whoever takes me out on a date not to do is the pottery class that I got kicked out of. Like, who gets kicked out of pottery? I'm like, okay, look, I'm on a date with myself and I'm trying to do the Ghost movie. Okay. I'm thinking of the movie Ghost and I'm thinking of, you know, making this pottery. But it is not turning out like that. Okay, at all. And the lady who's there is looking at me like, you know, she's really like, you know, we give these free pieces because they're donations, but, you know, like, and I'm like, it's some crazy shit. And afterwards, I messed up, you know, I messed it up. Like, it was bad. And I was looking at everybody else's and I'm like, what did I go wrong? So I pull off my thing and I'm like, hi, I was wondering if I could get another piece. And she said, oh, no, we're going to wrap up soon. So you want to take your piece with you? And I was like, oh, I can. She said, oh, absolutely. So I got the car. I got the car and Dad goes, Sparks, how'd it go? And I said, I think I just got kicked out of pottery. And he was like, what did you do? I said, I mean, I think my piece was like that bad that like, I'm not going to be invited back. He said, well, did you have fun taking yourself on a date? I said, absolutely. I laughed so hard. I mean, I showed him a picture. He said, oh my God. I laughed so hard, Jason, at myself.
Yeah.
And I realized, like, well, if anybody ever asked me to go on a date, we probably shouldn't do this one.
Pottery.
The biggest part was, and then I tried sculpting. That wasn't good for me either. So I'm noticing that some things, they're just not mine. But it was the coolest thing because in that time, I laughed so hard with myself because I was like, these are really things that you're not that great at. But these are really things that you tried and you did them with yourself. And this is called falling in love with yourself. You can laugh with yourself. You can walk around with your messed up pottery and shit and giggle about it and know that that's you, that's who you are. And that anybody else who comes that way, if they're not willing to respect that, they don't need to be there. Because people who do would laugh just as hard as it, but recognize and acknowledge the fact that you're okay with being with you. Most people are afraid to do that.
They're not. Yeah.
So I mean, it's always, you know, I have a lot of these conversations in the classes, and I talk a lot about it on a lived experience level, and you can just see their faces lighten up because they know, like, it's not easy to go have dinner or lunch by yourself often or do things like that. And for me, it's just like being at home. It's being with me, you know. And I think everybody has to have time like that in order to realize what they want in their life and what they're willing to attract. And you want to attract like-minded people like yourself, or people who get to know you. And it doesn't matter who they are. It's people who vibe with you. But first question, do you vibe with you? You know?
Because if you have that, you have everything. If you have that confidence and that self-awareness in yourself, then if you're in the wrong relationship, you can sense that out really quickly.
Oh, heck yes, you can. As soon as you do it, and oftentimes, you know, now, if I realize, you know, I can realize when a relationship, even a friendship is off because of the feel, because I know how I feel. This is where the body keeps the score. That book is important because it keeps you mindful and aware of how you feel. There's certain energy that makes you feel safe. And there's other energy that makes you feel like this ain't it. And so and also, like, the more you get to know yourself, the quieter you become and the better listener you become, because you're more aware of how you're feeling and listening to yourself, because it's just you. So when you bring somebody else in, it's easier to listen to someone and be like, that's not going to work for me. You know what I mean? Versus most times people are blinded by what somebody looks like. But I've always loved the soul of a person and the intellect of a person. So if I can't communicate, you know what I mean, with someone who has those things, I now know in my heart it's probably not going to happen. And it's nothing rude to anyone.
Yeah.
It's just what makes me tick. And
Yep.
I know that, you know, and most of the people who are not like that, they're not even around me. They don't even exist around me because that's not what I'm attracting. So if I start attracting it, I need to go back to the drawing board and start doing some more work, because somewhere I missed something. You see what I mean? So you're able to say, wait a minute, maybe I'm not as healed as I thought I was. This is real life self-reflection on a regular basis every day. And it's not easy. But when you start getting the hang of it, you're like, woo, how did this person get here? You know, how did I attract this? I thought I was healthy. I call my therapist. There's some things missing, right? But at least we know, and we're mindful and aware that it's happening. So now very rarely does it, because we know that if we are growing forward, then we will attract growing forward people.
Yeah.
It's so deep,
It's
so
deep.
complex, but it's so true. And it's not complex either. But society has taught us to look at what somebody looks like, or, you know, they're the hottest person on the magazine. But we all know that that's neither here nor there. It's what really fits our soul, you know?